Don't say any F's and stuff.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the lab. I'm your host, Joshua Diaz. If you're just joining us from the interview room, Dr. Gary and Chris McDonough both put on a hell of a show. It was extremely interesting angles that most of us don't think about. And I'm sure that there are people out there go, well, people don't know what the hell they're talking about. Well, they kind of do, because these are the kind of people, not just saying Don and Candace themselves, but in general, they study crime and they have for years. And so it would behoove oneself to lend your ear if you're interested in hearing about it from that standpoint. However, I'm a low level slob and I have no credentials in that category. However, I have been covering the Summer Wells case, talking about it, and it gets more and more interesting and frustrating as the days go on. And if you're familiar with this show, then you will know that recently I had played a I Mary Hartman and I had obtained a some audio that from a interrogation while Dawn was in jail. And I want to say this too, because I did hear some of this criticism, and I'll address the criticism really quick. People will say, well, you're exploiting SA survivors, or you're doing this or doing that. Regardless of what you think, individually, uh, these were prompted by the survivors. This was asked by them. And just because you don't agree with it, doesn't matter. It doesn't amount to a hill of beans. And people are allowed to tell their story. They're allowed to tell their story when and how they want. I'm not telling the story for them. That's just not something that I was willing to do, but I am willing to help them. And I have been willing, and along the way formed a friendship. They have the right to tell their story, no matter what your sanctimonious ass thinks. Excuse my language. It doesn't matter what you think. It matters what they think. It matters what they want to do. Okay? You got to understand that it's not about how we feel about it. If it didn't happen to you, it doesn't matter. Just the same way that you have the right to talk about what you want to talk about, survivors have the right to come out and talk. That's it. There's nothing more to say about that. Feel how you want. I don't care. And I'll tell you another thing, a reason like people get involved in this is because, well, there's been some things going on behind the scenes, and not good things, bad stuff, just stuff that really shouldn't be going on. Give me 1 second. Now, I don't know why. Now, I understand that. So over the weekend, I think it was Friday night. It wasn't last night. It was the night before. Mr. Don Wells has been furious with me, and I expected that. And I'm going to get into that here in a little bit. But one of the things that I really have been focusing on has been, why is it that Don is the talker and Candace is the walker? I don't understand why Candace. I mean, I understand why. And I think some of it is probably Dawn specific. Because, you know, when you hear things like this,
it makes no sense. The only thing that can come to my mind is that somebody snuck up there in that yard and took my baby girl.
What are the odds of that?
What are the odds of that?
From your perspective.
It happens all the time, all the way around the world.
I'm not questioning that it happens. I'm just asking you from your perspective, in your property, living up there as long as you have, Candace, right? What are the odds that happened? Take a guess.
50-50.
Okay. What would be the 50% that it didn't happen? What are the other possibilities?
I have no idea.
Okay. Could she have walked away and fallen?
Knowing my daughter?
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
Now, for anybody else, that would be probably an acceptable answer. However, a 50-50 chance that she was abducted when she disappeared right under your nose. And then Chris even gives her the out of, well, could she have walked away? No, absolutely not. She could, that not knowing her. A 50-50 chance means, all it means is it could have happened or it couldn't have happened. We already know that, but get more specific. The answer to that question, and now that they double down on this, is 100%. And 100%. Okay. Don also in an interview was asked, do you know what happened to your daughter? And he goes, well, how do you answer that question? Well, you answer it the honest way. If you don't know, then you say, I don't know. No, I don't. If you do, then of course you're probably not going to answer it in a proper way. I mean, it's not something. It would be an immediate kind of response. A lot of times when people say things like that, they're kind of stumbling for their words and their footing and stuff like that. So now I've had some conversations with Don where he has legitimately begged me to, and he knew that he was being recorded because he told me to record him and he told me to call the cops on him. I didn't, and I'll get to that here in a few minutes. But what I found just a little bit fascinating, I want to play for you here, is a couple of these little short clips that I think are telling.
I think they play this from the beginning. I think they've seen my criminal record, my past, and Candace's, and they've seen us as targets. They've seen a blue-eyed, blonde little girl I do believe that they.
But why wouldn't they
Honestly,
just take her legally
mean-
like they did the boys, or through?
Well,
Why wouldn't they just do that?
Well, because they wouldn't have a case if they got somebody to take Summer and adopted her out somewhere in the world and made some quick cash off of that.
Yeah, but
and
why
then
not?
No one would completely fall apart because people would be all over us and everything. Police everywhere. I mean, I don't know.
But why not
I mean, I
frame
think
you
the whole
guys?
thing
Like,
could have been played off.
if they're going to go through,
How do we know? I mean, I don't know that they haven't.
No,
We've been trying to find out information.
That's what I'm saying. Why wouldn't they just frame you?
I don't know. We don't have all the answers.
You think that they could
Don't
still
have all
do
the
that?
answers.
You think that I mean, it's 2
They're
years
very
later. Man.
They're very powerful. They know what they're doing.
I mean, do you ever worry?
This is.
Do you ever worry
this is
that you
what
could
they
be
do.
arrested because of this?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
So at the very, I see. Do you ever think that you could be arrested for this? The answer that it has been absolutely not. There's no evidence for 2.5 years. He says, of course I feel, of course I do. Okay. And of course he does. Of course he feels that way. How could he not feel that way? There are no official named suspects. There's stranger abduction. All that kind of stuff has been absolutely just blown apart. Now, I'm not saying that it's not on the table, but if you were listening to TIR tonight, then you would know that when minds that deal with this kind of stuff start listening to it, it falls apart, and it falls apart fast. It falls apart very fast. I have another one I'll play for you. I think
No.
that they're gonna arrest. Now, I asked Don this same exact question many, I say many, probably close to 2 years ago. I asked him this question. I asked him again. You for anything to do with Summer? Like, do you ever fear that?
Well, I have, yeah.
Yeah.
But if they do, there'll be another civil lawsuit.
Right. Well, what I'm saying is
Yeah.
is that
Well,
even
I've worried about it in the past.
Yeah.
I
But
was worried about it, yeah, of course.
once again, of course he worries about it. Of course he does. How could he not worry about it? I mean, it's a scary thing to live with a piano hanging over your head every second of every day. And I really do feel that that's how Dawn and Candace have, well, mostly Dawn. He seems to be bearing the brunt of what's going on because he actually does engage, because I do think that Dawn thinks that he's a pretty good salesman and that he can kind of talk around what's going on in certain situations. But there are times where Dawn kind of gets, I would say, rowdy. And I understood that Dawn was going to be upset with me for playing the tape, for obtaining and playing that tape. I get it. It didn't go over well for him. He didn't come off looking great, but I don't really, that really wasn't the point of it. The point of it is that it's public information, and Dawn is a high profile figure with his daughter missing, who is constantly online, even against, and I have even advised him to, I wouldn't do it. I would stay offline. He doesn't do it. So I got the tape, and I think most of you probably by now have heard it. And if you haven't, it's just a few videos back, and you can play it. It's uninterrupted for your listening displeasure, I would think, probably. But once again, to the people that have a problem with the information that we brought out, it's not your information. And I took that into consideration, and I still felt that it was something that these women who were children at the time needed. And you're going to hear a little bit. You're going to hear the reaction. You're going to hear the reaction. Now, Dawn happened to call Mary over the weekend. And then I spoke with him. I was forwarded a voicemail, and I'm not going to play the voicemail tonight, but it was insane. And there were some major threats going on. And when I say major threats, like these are legitimate threats. Okay. I didn't take any legal action, nor am I going to at this point, but I do want you to hear this, and I have edited it. And now, whether you're a supporter of this channel or not, or me, or if you like me or dislike me, I really do want to ask you the question: is this response that you're going to hear to me playing and obtaining the tape of which we were told we were lying about, that there was never a case? By the way, there's 3 different case numbers. So there absolutely was a case, 3 different cases indicated by a case number. You can say it all you want. It doesn't make it true that there was no case. But let me ask you, was the rebuttal, is this rebuttal normal? Is it something that is justified? Is it something that is okay and that we're going to ignore?
I will fucking kill you if I find you, bitch. I promise you.
You know, Don,
if I find you, I will kill you,
motherfucker.
This is no. You need to call the cops right now.
Yeah.
Please call the cops and tell them
I'm not going to call
that
the
if I find you, I will kill you.
Right. Well, you'll
call them now.
Know that you can go to
I'm on probation. Hey, don't forget. Yeah. Call my probation officer.
I'm not going to do that.
Call my probation officer. I want you to.
I don't want to.
Because I'm afraid that if I find you, I'm going to kill you, John. I'm not fucking with you. I will do it. I will stick a knife right in your throat.
That is what was going on the night before he went to the Christmas tree thing, which was a beautiful event, by the way, to everybody that was involved. It was beautiful. This was happening at night. And you know, I know people are going to say, well, he was drunk. I've been drunk before. I've been mad and drunk before. I don't think that that's an excuse. I think that it was over the line, and you know, but I mean, I understand him being mad at me. Why not get charges on him? Well, various reasons, and I'll talk. It's not really something. First of all, the story, I don't want the story to be about me. You know, Don has threatened me before, never quite like that, but part of it is, you know, he's not allowed to leave the state of Tennessee. I'm nowhere near the guy, and I don't know if they would say anything because I'm not in imminent danger. But there are other things that are being reported, so you can rest assured of that. I understand. But I just really, you know, I understood him being upset, but to me that really, really did just seem kind of a little excessive. You know, I've never said that to anybody. And while I expect him to be upset with me for many things, you know, I just, that to me, that just sounds like somebody who, when they get very upset, is capable of doing things to to take it there, you know, and I mean, it even went as far as he would say things like that, you know, I'll have somebody do it or so on. And you know, am I concerned about that? Not necessarily, but I mean, if he's willing to go there, if he's willing to go there, I think that, but once again, I'm not the only person that he threatened that night. There are others. Mary is one of them. He called Mary and threatened her, and we'll show that as well. It was quite a night. The incessant, just nonstop calling, texting, harassing of somebody. I mean, you know, we've all heard, and one thing that I do think about is this the Don that when he gets mad about something, that this is how he reacts, not just to me, but to just people in his life. Yeah, I'll play it again.
I will fucking kill you if I find you, bitch. I promise you.
You know, Don, that's
if I find you,
you know,
I will kill you, motherfucker. This is no. You need to call the cops right now.
Yeah,
please call the cops and tell them
I'm not gonna call
that if I find you, I will kill you.
Right. Well, you'll
call them now.
Know that you can go to
I'm on probation. Hey, don't forget. Yeah. Call my probation officer.
I'm not going to do that.
Call my probation officer. I want you to.
I don't want to.
Because I'm afraid that if I find you, I'm going to kill you, John. I'm not fucking with you. I will do it. I will stick a knife right in your throat.
You know, and so, yeah, I mean, I will report it, but it's just, it's, I don't know what would happen from it. I mean, I talked to somebody, but like, I'm not, like I said, I'm not the story. There were other people threatened that where he actually does know where people live, and so on and so forth. So I get it. You know, I get people that are like, oh my God, you got to do this. You got to do that. It's being handled. It'll be handled in time, in the right way. It was shocking because when I had explained to him just a few days before, I said, Don, I'm going to play this. And I'm going to play this. And he was like, yeah. And I understand that he sounds inebriated, and I'm sure that he was. But this went on for hours, not just with me, but with Mary as well. He also made, you know, similar threats against Chris, but it was mostly Mary and and he, in a very specific way, told me what he was going to do. He told me, I'm not concerned for myself at all. In all honesty, this is what we're dealing with. Okay. And anybody that wants to excuse that behavior, you know, you can say that I'm a dirtball, slime ball, or whatever for obtaining the tape and playing it, and say that I'm exploiting whoever. And you have the right to feel that way. That doesn't make it true. It doesn't make it not true. It's just that's your opinion. However, I don't know how you stand behind something like that. I don't know how you stand behind somebody who had a case opened up against him, and then after she had every right to obtain her own file and have it played because she was called a liar, and still sometimes is called a liar, that this man called her that night and did this. Let me see here. and I don't. But I don't. The problem is I don't have this one edited, and I don't want to. I really don't want to play this. That call was Friday night. The call was Friday night, and it was probably the most contentious conversation that him and I had, and you know, because Mary just really refuses to speak to him. So basically, if he's trying to get a hold of Mary, he's been to just, you know, to get a hold of me, and that's what he does, and then it doesn't go very well most of the time. So once again, I want to say that the tree thing was beautiful. I looked at, I saw the photos. It was very nice. I'm glad Dawn and Candace showed up, but just the night before, this is the stuff that was going on. And he was very specific about what he wanted to do to me, and I'll just give you a little glimpse of what he said to Mary, and you guys can defend this. And I talked to Mary a little bit as well about this. You know, he threatened to break her jaw, and among other things. So that's the issue, is what he has said to Mary, not necessarily to me, but he did absolutely say things like that. He threatened her. He kept calling her, harassing her. Mary calls me on the phone and says, "Josh, what's going on with Dawn?" I said, "I don't know. I haven't heard from him. Wasn't even thinking about the guy. Wasn't even thinking about him." And yeah, you know, I'm sure I'll get some of that. I'm sure that there will be people that actually believe that I was antagonizing him enough to where he made a threat against me. But what about his sister? What about his stepsisters? You know, I'm the one that caused him to blow up and threaten to hurt me and others. I see it coming. I can understand it. But you guys got to understand that I absolutely, in no way, shape, or form, have ever threatened Dawn or Candace. I've never told anybody to hurt them or anything. He kept telling me over and over again to record this and to call the cops. And so I threw on the recorder, and he aired all of his grievances. And so while I know that Dawn doesn't like me, to me, that just, and maybe I'm overreading this. But I think that, you know, sounds like something that he could be capable of. If I was right in front of him at that very moment, I'm sure that he would have given it a go. But he, you know, I didn't feel any danger at the time. He just, you know, I don't know. They started out about summer, and I think a lot of it is that we really do need to get back and refocus on summer. And sometimes I feel like I have kind of strayed off, and it, you know, it's gotten personal with Dawn because I don't believe him or Candace in their story, and I don't think that I have to. But, you know, it just seems that we are getting further and further away from what we started out doing. Gail says that I'm underreading it. Probably. Yeah, probably so. I think. Yeah, I think so. I think so. He did that. He threatened to hurt Trevor at one time. Threatened to put him under the ground, I believe is what he said. This one was very, very specific, like I said. And I don't really. Yes, I will report it, and it will be reported and everything, and because I believe that it needs to be, but there's just other things that are kind of involved. So I want you guys to understand that I absolutely will report it. Okay. But then I'm telling you, what happens in these situations is they'll say that, you're not in an immediate danger. I don't know why he was telling me to call authorities. I really don't know. I'm not sure why he would say that. Yeah, no, trust me, we're working on it. Like I said, it's being addressed. It's not going to just go by the wayside. So yeah. And I didn't want to be the reason, I understand that obtaining that tape and playing it or whatever, wasn't going to go over well with him, just like most things haven't, but I just didn't think it would get to that extent. But it wasn't really about me. He didn't start with me. He started with Mary. Let me see. He was probably just blackout drunk. He's dumb and probably meant nothing. Well, I don't know. I'm sure that we'll get a lot of that. And that's easy for somebody like for see something and say something, which is quite a name to excuse that kind of behavior. But I mean, it's really easy when it's not you that's on the receiving end of a threat. Okay. And yeah, and I know a lot of it is part of him just kind of being drunk as well, but yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know how drunk he was. I'm assuming that he was drunk. I am assuming that he was drunk. And look, I get it. It's shocking, but did I think that I was in any imminent danger? No, but I do think that when he says things to his stepsister that he's going to drive to Utah and break her jaw, well, I take that one a little bit more serious. And I just I don't know. He was plastered. Yeah, he was. Yeah, he was plastered. But what does that matter? A lot of people get drunk all the time. People get blackout drunk constantly, and they don't go around threatening to kill people. I don't understand. I really don't understand that angle. I really don't. Now, does it intensify somebody's feelings? Do they regret what they do when they say, "Yeah, of course," but it's like, who cares? And I'm sure that that's going to be the angle. Well, Josh instigated him, and he called him drunk and threatened to kill him. Well, okay, fair enough. That, but still, come on. He was very upset. Like, he gets upset a lot. It's not the first time that we've heard him go crazy on somebody. And, yeah, I don't think so either. I don't know, man. I do not get it. I know what's going to happen. He was drunk. Josh baited him. Look, I hadn't talked to the dude ever since it had been days on days, and I'm sure it was festering with him, but I hadn't heard peep I hadn't heard, peep from the guy. And the first thing that I hear from him is that. So, it seems to be happening at a high rate. I mean, he's very angry with me. And so fair enough. But, threatening me is one thing. Threatening Mary, Jeannie, or anybody else is another, something that should be taken much more serious. And I'm not making excuses. I'm not making any excuse. Can Mary, I don't know. I'm not sure. But it is being dealt with. Let me see here. Yeah, probably. I don't know if I don't know. Dr. Gary was and yes, I'm getting one tomorrow. So like I said, this is something that is being worked out and talked about. And, you trust me, you're not going to be able to call and report it to TBI. It has to come from me because the threat was made to me. You can make them aware of it. I'll do it. Don't worry about it. I don't need anybody else to do it. I will do it. It's my cross to bear, and I will deal with it. So I'm asking everybody, please, I will deal with it. And I will. Mary will deal with what Mary needs to deal with. And we'll go from there. Okay. Because they won't listen to anybody that just calls in and says, "Hey, I heard this." It's just, it won't make any difference. Let me see. Honey Elder became a YouTube member. Good to see you. Thank you for being here and becoming a member. Pretty is as pretty does. Good to see you. Thank you. And Josh going to LE might open SK's backup. I mean, yeah, we'll deal with it. Yes, I will absolutely handle it. Yeah, it has to come from me. So you calling's going to do nothing except they'll tell you the same thing. Spirit Seeker Squad became a YouTube member. Good to see you. Thank you for being here. And that's you don't have to. I feel bad for Mary, and you don't have to feel bad for me, but I appreciate that. Thank you very much. Like I said, it's out of hand, and we need to get this handled, and then put the focus back where the focus is. And I apologize if I've been one to veer off. I understand that this isn't really what I'm here for. So I just wanted to say that, but it has gotten ridiculous. I hope that something good comes out of this. But who knows? Anyway, I'm not going to hang around much longer. I just wanted to tell you guys and be here. I know that I appreciate you guys, and I'll catch you later. Thank you for being here.